Last game of the season, Browns fans. It's here. The end is almost near. I don't know about celebrating, but one more time, one more game to go. Welcome to the Doghouse, your inside look at the Cleveland Browns. I'm Andy McNamara, alongside Browns insider from WKYC Sports in Cleveland, Matt Florjancic. Matt, Merry Christmas. Hope you had a great holiday, and the new year is right here, man. 2015 in the books. The last episode of 2015 of the Doghouse. You got any big plans tonight?
Hopefully, just celebrating with family and friends, and looking forward to getting this new year started with some positive news. Hopefully, the Browns get all the bad news out of the way quickly, and then we move on to greener pastures.
Exactly. So you know what? We'll talk about the Browns-Steelers game. In a nutshell, for the Browns, doesn't mean a whole lot. They can try to play spoiler. Steelers need to win. Now, what is it, Matt? If the Steelers win, are they in, or do they have to win and get help?
They have to win and get help. They lost control of their own destiny based off of last week's loss to the Baltimore Ravens. So they need a little bit of help on the back end, but they could potentially get it, because the game they need to turn out in their favor is Rex Ryan beating his old team in Buffalo, taking down the New York Jets. So they may just get that help, and it would be very Pittsburgh Steeler-esque to beat the Browns in the regular season finale and get the requisite help to make our run to the Super Bowl. We've seen this song and dance before. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it would be very apropos for the Browns season to end that way.
And Matt, what would a Week 17, Game 16 of the season be without a new starting quarterback? Yes, Austin Davis looks like he's going to be swinging back in. The only difference is, Matt, I thought for sure we'd have a fourth different starting quarterback. I thought Terrell Pryor, maybe somebody else coming in. But Johnny, in concussion protocol, unfortunately, you never want to see that for Johnny. Second straight year, though, that he will miss the finale. Last year was the phantom hamstring and missed rehab assignment. This year seems a little bit more legit with the pounding he took in the Kansas City game. And, Matt, as impressive as it was, him using his legs, setting a Browns record, it does show that with Johnny's size, and really I think for any quarterback, you cannot survive by running all over the field all game long. It has to be used strategically, has to be used in spots, not the main point of the offense, because otherwise we get a knocked-out Johnny.
Yeah, it's not going to be a situation where he can do what he did at A&M on a regular basis and expect to be successful in the NFL. That just doesn't happen. It's a completely different game. Everybody's fast, everybody's big, everybody is built to run through you. And being a 5'11" and 3/4", 210-pound quarterback, you are going to lose when you go up and you get hit by a 250-pound, 6'3" outside linebacker.
Yeah,
the math is not in your favor. The only guy that is physically built enough to take a little bit of a pounding, and even he restrains himself, is Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a physical specimen. He's a lot taller than Johnny. He's a lot thicker than Johnny, and he can handle that kind of pounding on a not so regular basis. But Manziel showed in Kansas City that yes, he can extend plays, and I know everybody was excited. They said, "Oh, he's a gamer." He showed he can play in this league. Actually, he showed everything that is the reason why he won't be a successful pocket passer in this league, because when he couldn't see down the field or he couldn't trust himself to make a throw in bad weather, he just ran.
Yeah.
And if that's going to be the case, you're going to be in trouble in November, December, and January when you have to play games next to a lake in Cleveland, next to rivers in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, and next to the frickin' Atlantic Ocean when you're playing the Baltimore Ravens on the road. So there's a lot of growing that still has to be done. Did the young man make progress? Yes, still a lot to go from a quarterback perspective, because you cannot allow yourself to take the kind of punishment that he did and expect to make it week to week, much less through an entire season.
No, and by reports, he had a real bad cold, wasn't feeling the best, so he, did the best you could in that situation. But, Matt, you bring up a great point with the weather angle. It was windy in Kansas City, but nothing compared to what it could be. And this being one of the mildest winters in recent history around the northern United States, Johnny got lucky as far as weather-wise, because this could have been a whole lot worse as far as him playing in the snow, sleet, terrible muddy rain, all that stuff. So he got away with it there. To you, Matt, and we'll get to our Twitter question in a moment. We'll do our year in review for the Browns' New Year's resolution. But for you, have you seen enough of Johnny Manziel to know and feel comfortable one way or another to make a decision about his future with the Cleveland Browns, or do you need more?
From a selfish standpoint, I don't want more, because I feel like if he's not the guy, it's going to put us further behind in the development of someone else. If they choose to go with a quarterback, I would have to say that I've seen enough to know that the questions about him off the field and on the field were valid enough to make me say, you know what, I'm just going to admit that I made a mistake, and I'm going to part ways with the young man and let him try to blossom somewhere else, because Cleveland is not a stable enough environment for him to succeed in any way, shape, form, or fashion on or off the field. It's not so much an indictment of just him, because I think there's still a lot of growth that needs to take place there. It's also an indictment of the organization that they're not built enough to take a marginal guy who's got problems and fix him to the point where he can be a successful NFL player. It's a system not set up to help anyone succeed.
Well, Matt, I'm going to go the other way from a selfish standpoint. Is I want to see more Johnny. I want to see more. However, it might sort itself out if he gets into off-field trouble again during the offseason. And that Christmas Eve video, people jumping on him. Okay, he had whatever, that Roco booze, caffeine thing.
Loco, I believe.
He was in his home.
That's the name of it.
He was in his home. Like, what do you want for the man? To sit on his hands and listen to classical music? Like, come on. He was in his house. However, the problem is that the video got out. And that ties into my New Year's resolution for the Browns, so we'll save that. On Twitter, at AndyMC81, at Matt Florjancic, our Twitter question today is, end of 2015, what is your New Year's resolution for the Browns? What's your New Year's resolution for the Cleveland Browns? Can be player, can be Jimmy Haslam, can be the organization as a whole. We'll get to ours in the Barkov a little bit later on. But, Matt, with the concussion, we were chatting before we came on, and you have an interesting take on it because you suffered a serious concussion as a youth, and you can speak to, and I know each concussion case is a little bit different. Now, myself, I had, I guess what would be categorized as a mild one playing high school football, and back then, it was still, you got your bell rung. Like, for me, I was, I'm a wide receiver. We did a blocking drill. So we did the blocking drill. My head snapped back. It went black. I saw stars. I felt like I was going to puke. I got up, came back to the end of the line, and then in the next play, block got picked up, slammed to the ground, head smacked off, saw stars again, felt like I was going to throw up again, and kept going. So I never lost consciousness, but knowing what I know now, that I guess would be categorized as a mild concussion. With Johnny having the symptoms later on, like after that, for me, that was it. I felt, at the end of the day, felt fine. But for you, take us through your concussion symptoms and why Johnny coming forward with them a few days later is a little bit strange.
When I got my concussion, I was playing in a basketball camp, and it was at the end of the night, and we were playing in our games. And I went to pick up a loose ball, and somebody swept my legs out, and the first thing that broke my fall on the hardwood was my head.
Ugh.
And I remember flying backwards and just seeing black. And the next thing I remember is waking up with the lights shining really, really bright and me looking directly at them and 12 people around me all asking, "Hey, are you okay?" And me not knowing what actually physically just happened. It was only after I talked to several people that I came to understand that I was knocked out for better than 2 minutes. And, the concussion test that they gave me was, hey, we're going to give you 3 words, and we're going to sit you down on the sideline, and in 5 minutes we're going to, come back and ask you what those 3 words were, and if you are okay and you'll remember those words. Well, I remembered the words, but I knew I was far from okay. I went, took a shower that night, struggled to even lift my arms above my head. And then the next morning, I woke up and I had to call somebody to get me out of bed.
Really?
I literally could not move anything from my belly button up. And, it was almost like I was a little child that hadn't grown into his neck muscles yet and had to have his head cradled, to move him anywhere. The next day, I went to the doctor, on my own accord. I reported, not feeling well, having a massive headache, and the trainers didn't want to send me. Back then it was about 2000, so it was, still that culture of, just, rub some dirt on it.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, no, you're fine, you can return. So I went through, drills, and I tried to play a pickup game, and all of a sudden my vision turned to 3. I was seeing 3 of everything, and I pulled myself out and said, you know what, it's just not worth it. And got re-examined by my personal doctor and was told you're out 8 weeks because you got knocked out cold. In my experience, it does not take, if it's a severe concussion, it does not take 4 days to manifest itself in concussion-like symptoms. I know this from personal experience because I had a concussion, and also, from a travel perspective, I had a 6-hour ride home from basketball camp after I got my concussion, and I know how miserable that was.
And that's driving. That's not air pressure.
On a plane.
Yeah.
And with changes in pressure cabin and whatnot, I know it wouldn't have taken 4 days for him to report those symptoms unless he was trying to play through it. And the only thing that I can think of that would say, okay, maybe it's legit that he has an honest concussion, is he was trying to shield the symptoms not only from the team but from himself and say, oh, I'll just be fine in the morning.
Right.
That's where the problem lies, and that's where the protocol, no matter how good, is still reliant upon the player to report the symptoms. And I'm not saying that the young man is lying. I would never say that about somebody reporting a head injury. I just don't understand the timing of it so long as I go in with he felt these right away, because I know that I sure did, and I know other people do as well. It comes down to me that it seems like if it's a legitimate concussion, he was trying to hide it.
Well, I think he did take several big shots in that Kansas City game. And Matt, you know I'm a Johnny apologist, okay? I'm always going to look on the bright side when it comes to Johnny and try to give him the benefit of the doubt. My thought process might be, already had that terrible cold, which has all the sinus pressure and stuff, so maybe he thought it was a part of that. When that subsided and he still didn't feel right, then he came forward. But as Tony Soprano would say, irregardless, we got Austin Davis as the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. So any type of, I guess, excitement to see Johnny one more time is gone. Like, as soon as I heard that, Matt, it's like, oh, wait, now I just have to watch this team play with Austin Davis get thumped by the Steelers? That's not very interesting to me. This is going to be – it's a lost opportunity because it was one extra start to see what Johnny could do. And as long as he stays clean in the offseason, my plan would be, and we'll have lots of time, we'll get into the offseason plan, draft picks, quarterback stuff, draft, everything, draft analysis. My plan would be this, Matt. It would be bring back Johnny, bring back Josh McCown, draft a quarterback. You have Johnny as the starter. If he falters, whatever, you have McCown there, and then you have that buffer zone with the new quarterback. Because right now, none of them are really wowing me outside of Cardale Jones. I almost don't even want to put it out there, Matt, because I just hope they can get him in like the second or third round and park him for a little while.
Well, you can probably get him in the fourth
round.
I think his stock took a big shot.
He should have come out. He should have. He like, what a difference a year makes. And I don't think he was ready for the NFL last year. Hell no. But he would have been a first-round pick last year. I think with the momentum he had, no doubt. Would you agree with that?
If he wasn't a first, he damn sure would have been a high second.
Yeah, I think someone would have gambled.
Gifts are so hard to overcome. You have to play